Well, thank you all for coming today. Allie and I are very excited you all are here. We will kind of introduce ourselves, share a little bit about why we picked this topic for our presentation. So like I said, my name is James Spry. I'm one of the graduate advisors here at UCM. And for me, I think dress is very important because it's one of the first things that people recognize about us when we walk in and on an interview after reading our resumes and reading our cover letters. This helps kind of give them even more information about us, and so can really make all the difference with our presentation.
And then I'm Alexandria Andrade. I do go by Allie, so if you hear James call me that, that's just what my nickname is. I find this topic to be very important because, like James said, it is something that interviewers do look at you for. But it's also just kind of good to know what, and every university is going to be different no matter where you go. There are going to be some universities that require the full 9 yards, and there's going to be some universities that are just, this is what we expect from you. And so know that it won't be the determining factor a lot of the time, but it does help show you know how to be professional, you know how to do the work, and you know how to present yourself. So that's why we picked this topic, and we are very excited to share it with you all today.
Some other things for you all to know as we go throughout this presentation, there'll be different times where we might have set aside some practice time because this is a presentation we've done before. And so it's a lot easier when we're in person together to go through some practice time, but that might not always be possible here. So if you want to practice, just let us know. Otherwise, we might just keep going and move on from that practice time. Other parts in this will ask for engagement. So we might reach out and hope that some of y'all will participate and provide some answers for us. So we'll go ahead and get started with all of this. Sweet, it worked. So first question is, in all of this, what do you think being professional truly means? And you don't have to answer us, just want to give you all about 30 seconds to reflect on that before we move on. All right, so now that you've got that in mind, professionalism, as defined by Merriam-Webster, professional is characterized by or conforming to the technical, let me move the screen real quick, by the technical or ethical standards of a profession, or exhibiting a courteous, conscientious, and generally business-like manner in the workplace. Professionalism is the conduct, aims, or qualities that characterize or mark a profession or a professional person. We're trying. We have a clicker.
Oh, wait, hold on. Go back. Sorry, technical difficulties. That's weird.
We'll get there. So
yeah, so being professional, it's how you dress, how you act, and how others perceive you. It really is, you want to express who you are, but you want to express who you are in a professional manner. So we're not saying hide who you truly are. We're just saying put your best foot forward and really show them this is what I'm capable of, and this is what I can do, and this is what I bring to the table.
I think that was very well stated and leads us right into this example that we have for you all. So who all would you hire in this instance? Doesn't matter the job. What you notice in all of this is the man on the left is wearing a white coat. He's got a stethoscope, so we can generally make the inference that they are a doctor. And the person on the right is in a sleeveless, cut-off shirt, a bunch of tattoos on their arm. So just take a quick second and think about who you would hire to do a job for you. So in this example, they are the exact same person. And so the person on the left, we will all generally define as being way more professional. And the person on the right, doesn't come across nearly as professional. However, that's not to say that either picture is wrong, because when we're professional in our professional setting. We still have our home lives. We still have our work-life balance that we all strive to have. And so really, we want to be able to separate the two, and we can see on the left, that is that person's professional, and on the right, we can see that is their life. And so that's the balance that they have struck of how to live all of this out.
I'll let you go ahead and do this one.
So for this one, really want to talk about for the guys business attire, and then we'll have Allie kind of talk about for the women. So on the guys side, got to keep moving the screen. There we go. We'll make it work. So we can really see this wide array of styles that guys have. And so starting, we'll go from the right to the left on this one. And so when we talk about sloppy, we really see that as not professional. That might be scrunging it up on the weekends, in all honesty, because that's flip-flops, raggedy old jeans, or sweatpants with a dirty shirt and a backwards hat. And so not professional, really not trying to go out at all. Then we can step that up. So maybe we're just going to hang out with some friends, and that would be considered like an ultra casual environment. So we throw on, for me, I think jeans are rather casual and pretty comfortable. And that looks like a hoodie on top. And again, we can go outside as long as it matches together. Like no one's really going to question you're hanging out in a casual environment with all your friends. We take a step up from casual. And again, those could be some nice, crisp, dark denim jeans and a polo. Those could just be khakis. Those look like comfortable shoes that match with what's going on. And then stepping up from that, this is really where you're going to get into seeing a lot more at the higher ed session, higher ed world, that people are in a much more business casual environment. And so that for me, like right now, I would be wearing a sports coat. I have on a button down. I have on business slacks and loafers. And so that's the example for business casual. When we step up to semi-formal or business, I think the biggest difference between those two is a tie. And so really giving off that final touch. And I know that it looks different with COVID right now. And so like I have on a neck gaiter that kind of covers it up. And other days people might even have assumed that this was an ascot, and that would also be very professional and very formal in this day and age. Moving on up from the semi-formal to black tie optional. This is when you're invited to a very fancy dinner. This would be a banquet. This is any sort of big event that you might get invited to in the business world. And so for that, this is going to strictly be a black suit with a black tie. And then black tie is a step up from the black tie optional, where it's going to actually, instead of being a black suit, it's going to be a black tuxedo. And this is going to be followed up with a bow tie to, again, separate the two. And then a white tie, I'm not sure I've ever even heard of a white tie event, really, aside from like a debutante ball in the South with the hat and the white gloves and the white vest and all of that. So white ties, you're very rarely going to hear about those, but they do still exist in a few pockets of the country. Black tie is really about as far up as you will see, especially in the world of higher education. And so you can also read here on the right some do's and don'ts and tips and tricks for your business attire with the business formal of suits, neckties, bow ties, belts. Would also, I don't have a great example on this, but would challenge and work with you all to work on your color scheme and matching of all of those. So matching your browns with blues, not matching black with blue, and really making sure that like your shoes can match your belt. We don't want those to appear different because they do stick out and they don't look as professional, and you do not appear as put together as others. And so really making sure that your colors complement in this situation is very important, even for guys. And they don't have that stereotype as much as girls, but it is important to be that professional look and have everything tied together. This whole moving of the screen over here can get us. There we go.
All right. And then for the ladies, basically, the picture kind of displays the same things that James just went over for the men, but in female form. And so we do have, starting from the right going to the left, a woman in a casual attire. She's in a skirt and a nice top. It looks like she has heels on. Also, it's 2020. You don't have to wear heels with everything. The most important thing to remember when you are dressing up is to be comfortable. And so if you are going into an interview and it is business casual or business formal, make sure you're wearing comfortable shoes. You don't know if you'll be walking a long distance. If you're wearing a dress, make sure that you have some sort of shorts or something underneath it in case you go upstairs, even if it's an appropriate length. You just never know, especially with wind. Just be very conscious of what is going on in your surroundings, because you don't want anything to show that you don't want seen. So back to the diagram. So she's in casual, she's just comfortable, wearing a flirty skirt with a belt, and she has a nice little side purse on. And then we go into smart casual. So she's wearing a jumpsuit. Jumpsuits are so comfy. If that's your thing, rock them. I can't, but you do you. And then we get into business casual, so we can see that her hair's done up. She has a little bit of makeup on. She's wearing pants with a nice blouse. And then we get into business formal. Business formal can take on a lot of different roles within the female world. There's tight-fitting business formal, there's loose business formal. And so again, just remembering to wear what is most comfortable for you. If you're not the type of individual that wears tight dresses, do not feel like you have to wear tight dresses. Especially, I would never personally wear a pencil skirt, so you don't have to have like those certain things to be professional. And then we get into like festive attire. So this is like the more fun. This is where we get really colorful. And this is where we're like really making a statement with whatever outfit that we have. And then the semi-formal is typically little black dresses that are a good length. This is when you typically do start seeing the high heels, but again, it's not mandatory by any means. And then the black tie optional, this is when we get into our longer dresses. So this is when you might see a slit on the skirt. You might see maybe a little cutout in the back that's tasteful, or there's a lot of different variations, but it is, again, usually something black. And then creative black tie, this is when you get to wear your fun colors. A lot of celebrities do these nowadays when they're not in those big elaborate outfits, when they're doing something like very small but still formal. And then, I misspoke. I'm sorry. The one I was speaking of before was black tie optional, not black tie. Black tie, which is the next one, is when you'll get into the long formal dresses. Again, very tasteful, covering up. And they can be loose, they can be tight. It, again, just depends on you. And then white tie. This is sometimes seen in the female world. It doesn't happen very often. And by no means in higher education is it typically ever seen. But those would be more of like what you would see a prom dress as. That would be a good example. Yeah, prom dress. So just know that once you get into smart casual, that's when accessories start becoming a big thing. Earrings, necklaces, bracelets, all of those kind of things. And then makeup as well. But again, just because it's been done before doesn't mean that you have to wear makeup. I typically don't wear a lot of makeup. I might cover up the bags underneath my eyes, but like other than that, I don't typically wear a lot of makeup either. So the most important thing, again, I know I've said it many, many times, but just be comfortable and don't be afraid to show who you are through your outfit choices. Because they're going to see it. They're going to know that you're comfortable. And when you're comfortable, you're going to be able to show who you truly are throughout the whole process. So, nope.
We tried. We're going to keep trying. And so again, this is a lot harder when we're not in person and when we're in Zoom. But your body language also plays an important role with clothes, because in some ways, how you rock the clothes is going to depend on what your body language looks like. And so when we feel confident in our clothes, our body language can be even better. And so we're standing up tall when we feel really good. We can walk, we'll widen our stance, have a lower vocal pitch. I did say that right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this one down here is like, try a steeple. And so what that really gets into is we all talk with our hands, and we'll kind of exacerbate that when we're even more nervous and just keep kind of getting real flustered like this. And so a trick that I've heard other people and has been working really well for me is to kind of put your hands and touch the tips of your fingers together, but still leave space in between it. So that creates that steeple image, and that allows you to be more direct. It kind of calms me, it centers me, I get more focused, and I'm able to speak a lot more clearly, and I'm not as nervous. I take a deep breath with it, and it appears more in control versus, I don't know. And so when you do this, it just, again, you appear more confident. That body language is, again, there for you, and you feel good. And so I think on this next slide is about the handshake. And so we'll go ahead and move to that. And I think we have a video there for you all, actually. So first impressions with a handshake, again, we know that's a lot harder via Zoom, but want you all to be prepared for when we are able to meet in person again. And please excuse all the tabs that we have open today.
If you're in business, you shake a lot of hands. So what does your handshake say about you and the people you're doing business with? Find out as we count down the top 10 bad business handshakes. Here we go with number 10, the sweaty palmer. A potential deal breaker. You can't escape this nervous, sweaty grip fast enough. Yes, like that. Number 9, the lobster claw. When this person shakes your hand, they pinch your hand between their thumb and fingers. It's as if they're picking up a canapé. Definitely no good if you're allergic to shellfish. Number 8, we've got the fist bump. Nothing says I'm business savvy like a fist bump. And exploding it, well, that's just not suitable at all, ever. Number 7, the wrestler. He flips his hand on top of yours to assert his dominance. Rumor has it, this is the guy who put the I in T. At number 6, it's the phantom. Wow, that was quick. Let's slow it down to see what happened there. Aha. Clearly, she's got more important places to be and more important people to see. The lingerer drops in at number 5. There's shaking hands and then there's holding hands. Obviously, the lingerer has no idea which is which. Awkward. Number 4, the decliner. Decliners are fastidious folk. They won't touch a doorknob without sanitizing it, let alone shake hands. Number 3, the tickler. Everything appears normal enough, and then something feels a bit odd. It's their middle finger stroking the palm of your hand. In second place, it's the vice. Once you escape the crushing grip of the vice, you can't help but feel sorry for him. He must feel terribly inadequate to shake hands like that. And here it is, the worst of the worst. The bottom of the barrel, the handshake only a mother could love. The dead fish. If handshakes say something about you, this one has to say you're a limp-wristed pushover who's easily battered into submission. Business.gov.au has the tools and templates to help plan, start, and grow your business so you don't get off to a shaky start.
All right. Again, thank y'all. So proper Proper handshake should be firm, but again, not too tight. Other things, when you do that, we want you to maintain positive eye contact. That doesn't mean staring deeply into someone's soul, but we do want to be looking them in the eye as we exchange, and then let the webbing between the index finger and thumb meet, and then 2 pumps, pretty standard. Maybe third if someone's really, really happy or excited about on a business side a deal being closed, but 2 is a pretty standard amount. And so this was going to be kind of the area for us to practice. Was for guys, we have a lot of different styles of tie knots we can do. It's like the half Windsor or a full Windsor, or even a bow tie. I think bow ties are a lot more fun for me. That's what I tend to wear. And then definitely, because we were talking about professionalism, wanted to make sure we included this. I think it's been portrayed a little bit throughout the day, but our online image as well, and how we present as professional there. And so again, LinkedIn is a very platform that is becoming way more popular for being that professional setting versus Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, Snapchat, even TikTok at this point. This is one of my friends here, Luke. He was gracious enough to let me screenshot his profile because I think he does a really good job with all of that. You have LinkedIn on the left and you have Portfolium on the right. The Portfolium's still not as popular, and I think a few colleges use it, and that's why he has one. LinkedIn's the more accepted in the business world outside of higher education. Neither is wrong. Both can be looked up as you're applying to grad schools to see what you are, and it also helps you see where you're at. You can use it for your resume. You can store a resume on LinkedIn for when you want to send it out to people.
Another thing with the professional online is that employers will look at these first, but it's also good to make sure that your own social media is cleaned up and has a good image on it. Employers understand you have a personal life, you go out and do things, but if they see constantly alcohol, different kind of drugs, they are going to take that into consideration. So know that these are the first ones they are going to look at, but also know they will look up Facebook, Instagram. I've never heard of an employer looking up Twitter, but they could if they really wanted to. Just make sure that you are giving off the image that you want professionals to know and see.
Yep. And then some tips for that: load the web with professional content. So easy way to do this and to start with is just to go to Google and type in your name and then hit search and see the images that pop up. For me, I know that I have like a professional headshot that appears like 2 or 3 down the list. For my sister, it's a picture of her for her college basketball directory, and so that's where like she gets popped up. For others, that it's something different. Know that there are a lot of people with your name, so you won't see yours right there. It's also not bad if you don't see yours right there, especially as we are just entering the professional workforce. We're not going to have that much of an online presence within different websites that promote us via job acceptance or contact info. So know that it's not bad if you're not there, but once you are online, know that those things are there forever, especially like Snapchat. It does not go away after 24 hours. They can be screenshotted. It's stored on databases. So know that they are forever. Again, post content for grandma. That's the best reminder I've ever received.
Grandma Dee.
Grandma Dee. We do love my grandma. And then, so an example of this is professional versus non-professional that you would see on Twitter. So on the left, we have what I believe is an example of kind of a professional post, and one on the right, a non-professional post. We'll let you read those, and then you can kind of agree or disagree there. Part of the comment.
Yeah, that's what I just read.
Yep. Very good there. And then because of that, and especially as we move on into higher education, we have what's called kind of the fishbowl effect. You might have heard about this, especially in high school, like your teachers were always in a fishbowl and they were always being watched by students. It's the exact same manner for us as graduate students with our undergraduate students here. This is pretty much always a public situation for us whenever we're out and about. Most students will recognize us and know that we can be campus professionals, not just students. And so always be aware of our actions, be responsible with those actions as an employee, and then being in higher education, again, that microscope is always on us. Anything else to add to the fishbowl?
With the fishbowl, just know that this is in any kind of professional field that you want to go into, whether it be you want to continue in higher ed, or you want to be a doctor, or you want to be a lawyer, or you want to do pretty much any field, even a teacher. Any field, there's always going to be the fishbowl effect. People are always going to be watching you, and that can seem kind of nerve-wracking and can kind of make you anxious, but the most important thing to realize is that as long as you have justification for everything that you're doing, then you'll be fine. Like, you're allowed to have a personal life. You're allowed to, be casual, have fun, go out and have a beer or just drink or go dance. Just know that it's kind of, it's always there, but it's not negative. It's just going to help you be a better person, and it's going to help you kind of think through your actions and make you really logically say, okay, is this a good justification of my time and what I'm doing and all that other stuff? So don't take it as a negative. Really just turn it into a positive and see all of the benefits that can come from it. And again, live your life. Be kind to others, and just have fun.
Well said. So again, thank you all for listening. We will stop sharing.